from Kings chapter 12. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned from Egypt, so they sent for Jeroboam, and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Jeroboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now listen, the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Rehoboam answered, "Go away for 3 days and then come back to me." So that the people went away. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. They replied, "If today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants." But Rehoboam rejected the advice of the elders gave him and consulted the young men who had grown up with him and were serving him. He asked them, "What is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, 'Lighten the yoke your father put on us'?" The young men who grew up with him replied, "These people have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make your yoke lighter.' Now tell them, 'My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips, and I will scourge you with scorpions."
How not to start out your reign as king. We'll talk a little more about that. Our next reading comes from 2 Peter, 2
Timothy.
Thank you, Chip. One of those guys. It's one of the epistle readings. It's one of the letters. And it talks about how sin is increasing in the world. You know, when Adam and Eve first took a bite of that apple, there was sin in the world. People lived hundreds of years. As sin grew, as the world decreased in its health, people died earlier. Sin increased, and people's understanding of who God is in the world has become more difficult. We see that. We are in the end phase today. We are in the end times. And Jesus is coming. We saw that today, we saw that 2,000 years ago. This is Timothy's discussion of what the end times he's seeing, and we will continue to see look like.
Our second reading is from 2 Timothy chapter 3. "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God." This is the word.
Be glad. I wouldn't call that the gospel of the Lord, the good news. It's kind of a brutal look at what it looks like there. Our holy gospel today, though, our good news, comes from the book of Luke. And this is the Song of Simeon. We sometimes pray this or even sing this. We hear the story of Jesus coming to the temple as an infant. Now there was a man in Jerusalem called Simeon, who was righteous and devout. He was waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him. It had been revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he would not die before he had seen the Lord's Messiah. Moved by the Spirit, he went into the temple courts, and when the parents brought in the child Jesus to do more for him what the custom of the law required, Simeon took him in his arms and praised God, saying, "Sovereign Lord, as you have promised, you may now dismiss your servant in peace. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all nations, a light for revelation to the Gentiles and the glory of your people, Israel." The child's father and mother marveled at what was said about him. Then Simeon blessed them and said to Mary, his mother, "This child is destined to cause the falling and the rising of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be spoken against, so that the thoughts of many hearts will be revealed. And a sword will pierce your own soul too." This is the word of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.